Corporate Finance Excel Practice Problem. Future value of an annuity. Don't leave profits solely to chance. Instead, use corporate finance. Here we are in our Excel worksheet. If you have access to the Excel worksheet and would like to follow along, note that we are in the Practice tab as opposed to the Example tab. The Example tab, in essence, being an answer key. We're going to have our information up top. We're going to put that information into the blue areas on the right, including a mathematical formula type of format, a running balance type of format, a then Excel formula format, and then a table time format. Back to the left, information says we have the future value of an annuity. So we're going to invest per period $2,500 for 12 years, the years being the periods that we're talking about in this case. And then the percent will be at 9%. So how much in total dollars are we investing? We could do that calculation here. That'd be the 2,500 times the 12 would be the total dollar amount. But if we have the rate at the 9%, then the question is, where will we be at the end of that time period? So we're going to do our calculation. We'll start with this one down here, which is an annuity mathematical formula, which we will break out into like an Excel type of format, kind of like a tax return type of format. So we're going to have in the outer column, P times this whole thing in the middle, and then we're going to break out the numerator and the denominator, which we want in column F, and then we might break out a little bit more detail this numerator since it has a bit more activity in it. So we're going to break that out, doing our algebra in this kind of vertical type of fashion. The present value, or the, let's call it the payment here. The payment's going to be in the outer column. It's going to be that 2,500. Then we're going to do this inner side. We're starting with the numerator, 1 plus r to the n minus 1. So 1 plus r to the n minus 1. I'm going to do that in a vertical fashion, saying 1. And then we're going to say the rate is going to be then the 9%. Going to percentify that cell, go into the Home tab, Numbers group, percentify, underlining it as well, Home tab, Font group, and underline. Summing them then up by going to the sum function equals the SUM, the sum, shift 9, up arrow, holding down shift, up another time, and enter. Sum function, let's go ahead and percentify it now, that cell. Home tab, Numbers group, percentify, we're at 109%. Now we're going to take that to the n, to the number of periods being n to the power of n, which will be equal to 12 in our case, to the power of n, which will be 12. Let's underline that, Home tab, Font group, and underline. Then I'm going to say this is going to be equal to the 109 to the power of, which is 6, shift 6, or caret, to 12, and enter. Let's go ahead and add some decimals there to make it a little bit more precise. Home tab, Numbers, decimalized. All right, and then we're going to say that that's going to be this amount minus 1. So now we're still on the numerator, minus 1. So 1. So this is going to be equal to this whole thing. Let's bring this out into the middle column. This is going to be this whole thing minus 1 now. I'm going to underline this one, Home tab, font, underline, add some decimals here to make it more exact. Home tab, Numbers, decimalize. So there we have that. That's the whole numerator. Now we're going to take the denominator underneath it, dividing by the denominator, which is just one number. So that's like the easy part. 9%, percentifying it, Home tab, Numbers group, percentify, underlining it, Home tab, font, underline. So then we're going to pull that out to the outer column now. We have the numerator and denominator represented by one number each. So now we can just do what we do when that happens, which is a division. That equals the numerator divided by the denominator. And so there we have that. And then let's put a good old underline here. Home tab, Font group, underline. Let's add some decimals there too. Home tab, Number group, decimalize. And that's going to give our future value, the suspenseful point here, this is going to be equal to the 2005 times this number we just came up to, and that's going to give us our 50,352. Let's add a couple decimals, Home tab, Numbers, couple more decimal, 50,351.80 about. So we can compare that to what we actually put in, you know, the 30,000, and see what the growth was, right? So it was the 2,500 times the 12. If we have the 9%, we're saying it's 50,351. Let's do it with a running balance type of calculation. So let's start off with period, say 1 and then 2, And then we're going to bring this on down to 15 periods, selecting those two. And then we're going to use our good old autofill to bring it on down. Bring it on down to the 35 all the way down here. And then I'm going to center that, home tab, alignment, center it. And so let's do our calculations then. This is going to be the payment of the 2,500. That's going to be at the starting point. We're going to say is the same 2,500. Then we'll calculate our interest on this. Interest will be the 2,500 balance times the rate, which is going to be 9%. So we're going to get 225 about. And then the payment, we're going to have another payment because this is an annuity, which will be that. So that means that we had what we had before, which was the 2,500 plus, I'm going to say plus the sum of the 225 interest on the last 2,500 plus the 2,500 we put in this time, closing that up. There we have it. Then the interest now calculated on this new balance. The new balance, this balance is the new balance. New Balance is also like a shoe or something, isn't it? New Balance. The New Balance is that. And then we're going to say, there it is, interest going up. The payment is going to be the same. Therefore, the value is going to be the last time we had this plus the sum of the new stuff that happened. The sum of that 470 plus the 25, closing that up. Let's do it one more time, and then we'll try to use the autofill to fill it on down. This is going to be the 8,195 about times the 9%. Then we have the same 2,500 we're going to be putting in once again. And we have the value of last time plus this time, SUM brackets, the 738 plus the 2,500, closing up the brackets and enter. Let's try a good old autofill down one cell at a time and see if there's any problems with it, which there will be. Then we'll fix those problems and then autofill. So we're going to select it, autofill down, and we see this one has a problem. That one doesn't look right because it moved that percentage down, and it shouldn't have. Everything else should have moved down. Everything else it did it like it should have. But that one, no. That one, no. So we have to absolute reference that one. So that this one in cell E5, is that what it is? Yeah, E5 needs to be, let's delete this one. This one was wrong. This one in cell E5 needs to be absolute referencized, which I'm going to put F4, which is going to put a $sign before the E, $sign before the 5. You only really need a mixed reference, meaning $1 but I get confused on which one to use. Therefore, I do absolute. So then I'm going to select these again, and I'm going to autofill them down all the way down. I'm not even going to check it. We're going to live dangerous living right here. Just going to do it all the way down. And then we're at the 539,277. So the 539,277 went down to 12. I think we went way too far. We should have stopped here at the 50,531. So I'm going to delete everything below that. Hold on a second. Lived too dangerously right there. The danger, too much danger. Let's delete this whole column, which will be deleted for you already. Just going to delete this. We don't need that stuff. So there we have it. Now I'm going to go ahead and scroll up top, and we're going to then add some decimals. Home tab, numbers, a couple decimals. So now we're at the 50,531.80. So let's do it again, this time with an Excel formula, the annuity formula. So this is the magic way. So we're going to say this is going to be equal to the future value, shift 9, the rate 9%. Make sure you're picking up the correct percent. If it was a monthly percent, you'd have to divide it by 12. Number of periods is going to be 12, and then comma, and then the payment is going to be that 2,500, and that's it. Because it's an annuity, because it is an annuity, we use the payments as opposed to putting a 0 there and using the present value as you would do if it was a present value of 1 and not an annuity. Let's go ahead and put a negative before the P to flip the sign. So I'm going to put it, or before the F to flip the sign to make it a positive number. There it is, once again, done the magic way. Next time we'll do it the table time way. Table time way, we're going to say it's the annuity amount once again. And now we'll pick up the amount from the table, making sure that we're picking up the proper table, this being the future value table of an annuity, as opposed to Future value of 1, 9%, 12 periods. 9%, 12 periods. 9%, 12 periods. There's the 20.141, 20.141, 20.141, 20.141, 20.141. Adding some decimals, home tab, numbers, decimals, and underline, home tab, font, underline, multiply. This equals to 2,500 times the 20.141. Adding a couple decimals, home tab, numbers, decimals, and it's pretty close, a little bit different due to rounding. Notice it took it out 3 digits. If we were to take it out more than 3 digits just to see what that rounding is doing, we would say we could come on over here and check this out by saying it's going to be the 50,351 divided by 2005, adding some decimals there, home tab numbers, adding decimals, should be closer to 20,1407198 if we were taking it out more than 3 decimals, and it took it to 20,141, causing that slight difference. Would not make a difference most of the time for decision-making purposes due to being immaterial for the decision-making purposes, but test questions can use that in order to try to force you to pick the proper multiple choice question and force you to use the method of calculation they prefer.